One morning, I sat by a small hole in my wall, a flood hole meant for rainwater. Suddenly, I heard a sound that didn't belong to the wind. It was the shuffle and clink of metal. I looked through the grill and I saw a line of ankles moving past. They were heavy, rusted chains, biting into the bone. The guards were talking to the prisoners in a way that sounded forced and studiously casual. They were telling jokes, trying to be kind. At first, I didn't understand this black comedy, but then I realized this was the hanging squad. These men were being taken for a fake medical exam, a periodic checkup, just to hide the fact that some of them would never come back to their cells. Welcome to the final episode of The Man Died. Today, we look at the darkest corner of the prison, the hanging yard, and the moment the light finally broke through the concrete. In that yard, Soyinka tells us about Polyphemus, the giant warder. Before he was a guard, Polyphemus had earned his promotion by acting as a gladiator for the state. He fought a prisoner named Bernardine, who refused to go to the gallows. They fought with shields and clubs in a ritual of death until Polyphemus won by manual strangulation. To the state, this was just administration. This is what Hannah Arendt called the banality of evil. The idea that terrible things are done by people who think they are just doing a hateful job. Soyinka saw this hateful job in the way the guards drank stout and illicit gin after a hanging, just to keep their heads from turning crazy. While men were shuffling to their death, something else was happening outside the walls. The head of state, Yakubu Gowon, was getting married. Soyinka describes this as extravaganza of insolence. While a city called Umuahia was falling in the war, a place where people were dying, Gowon told the world that the city's capture was a wedding present. Think of it like this: a king throws a giant, expensive party while the neighbor's house is on fire and sees the smoke makes a nice decoration for his cake. Soyinka uses this to show the humiliation of a nation. As the Greek professor George Mangakis wrote, a dictatorship tries to make you feel that you aren't responsible for your own destiny. But Soyinka refused to be a dead factor. The most brilliant moment of survival came when the secret police, the Gestapo, tried to catch Soyinka's secret messenger. They knew someone was smuggling his notes out, and they wanted him to point the man out in a lineup. Soyinka agreed, but only on one condition. He told them, "I will easily pick him out if you had arranged for me to see an optician." He had been demanding eye treatment for a year, and they had denied it. By the time they brought him to the lineup, he mocked them, saying he couldn't even recognize his own father because they had let his vision fade. He used their own cruelty to protect his friend. As we close this series, we find Soyinka at the hospital for one last checkup. Suddenly, a storm breaks. It isn't just rain, it's clay spring water. He stands there, soaked to the skin, watching his giant guard Polyphemus running ahead to hide from the wind. In that moment, Soyinka realizes that the walls have already failed. He says that even if they keep his body in a cage, they have already lost. His spirit is an unfettered principle of life. Soyinka survived because he chose to speak when others were silent. He reminds us that justice is the first condition of humanity. Thank you for joining on this episode. Wole Soyinka's notes are a reminder that even in a crypt of concrete, A mind that refuses to be silent is a mind that is free. Until next time, keep your memory sharp and your voice louder. I remain your host, Osho Abiodun.